In this video, we are going to talk about Jupiter's transit into the sign of Aquarius through nakshatras, padas for all ascendants and all moon signs. So keep watching. Namaste and welcome to Pramanik Astrology channel. I'm your host Prasad Mahazani. Help you raise your vibrations and become your true self with the help of Vedic Astrology. If you want to know more about Vedic Astrology, join me on 33 days Vedic Astrology Bootcamp. Link is in the description below. The Jupiter's transit into the sign of Aquarius. Jupiter gets debilitated into the sign of Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn. But Jupiter is not getting debilitated into the other sign of Saturn, which is Aquarius. In fact, here is the secret about the planets. When planet moves into the next sign from the debilitation, it becomes the strongest. What do I mean by that? Let's say Jupiter is in Capricorn. So Jupiter becomes strong in the sign of Aquarius. Mars gets debilitated into the sign of Cancer, but Mars in Leo, amazing. Saturn gets debilitated into the sign of Aries, but in Taurus, it is in its friend sign, and so on. Okay, so Jupiter is coming out of the debilitation and it is going to bless you in certain areas of your life. It is different according to your moon sign and your ascendant. So here you can analyze or check your moon sign as well as your ascendant. I usually prefer the moon sign. Why? Because if you look at the Sadesati is calculated from the moon sign. Why? Because your mind is getting impacted. Your mind is the reason why you feel certain way, why you desire certain way, and why you take action. Okay? And that is going to bring in the results, which is going to make karma. Okay, so mind is very important. So moon is very important. So I always believe in the transit from moon, but that doesn't mean that the transit from the ascendant are not important. No, they are absolutely important, but they have certain significance in some other areas of your life. Okay, so you can consider your moon sign as well as your ascendant. Next, while analyzing the transit, always apply the Ashtak Varga. Without applying Ashtak Varga, this transit means nothing. Okay, if you don't apply the transit, if you don't apply the Ashtak Varga in your transit, you won't feel resonate with that particular transit. Okay, and what is Ashtak Varga? That is a whole different topic to talk about. Okay, but Ashtak Varga is a table, a point-based table of the planets, okay, and which is important for the transit. Okay, so always apply the Ashtak Varga while applying the transit, and those Ashtak Vargas are personal and you can get them into the detailed horoscope report as well. You get all the Bhinna Ashtak Varga, Sarva Ashtak Varga, all these combinations, Kaksha slots, all these things you will get into my report. So if you want to have the detailed report, link is in the description. Okay. Now let's talk about the transit. We talked about Jupiter into the sign of Aquarius. Let's talk more about it. Jupiter is the planet of expansion. Aquarius is the sign of expansion, is the original 11th house of air element, which is all about the social networking and connecting with the masses. More than network and friends, it is about the masses, social movements. All these things can be seen with Aquarius. And now it has most expansive planet of positivity, that is Jupiter. So it brings in good people in your life. Okay, you will be connected to spiritual groups. Okay, another thing to look out for in this placement with Jupiter in the Aquarius transit is Jupiter is the planet of wisdom and Aquarius is the planet, Aquarius is the sign of air elements. So these people, so when the Aquarius Jupiter comes into the transit, it helps other people with their knowledge. You will share your knowledge with people, just like me. Okay, I'm sharing my knowledge with you guys. You can share your knowledge with other people during this time. You will feel like sharing whatever you know. And that is due to the air element sign having this expansive, wise planet of Jupiter. Okay, but again, this is the sign of Saturn, so you might feel the pessimism, okay, because of the Saturn element, but not as pessimistic as Jupiter in the Capricorn. Jupiter in the Capricorn is not pessimistic, but it's practical. So it's a clash between the practicality of the Capricorn with the larger than life, positivity of the Jupiter, which is, something higher than us, which Capricorn won't be able to understand. Capricorn is practical, hardworking, and down to earth sign, which works on the security paradigm rather than something beyond yourself. So that's a mismatch for Jupiter. But here, Aquarius is the sign of intelligence, of genius, and at the same time, it's the sign of letting go. So it's like an absent-minded genius, and it is also the sign of letting it go. So Jupiter will make you share your knowledge. Depending upon where you have this placement going on, you will feel like sharing your knowledge. Okay, now let's talk about the transit. Let's talk about the Aries ascendant or Aries moon sign. Aries ascendant. For Aries ascendant, Jupiter rules the 9th and the 12th house. 9th house is the most benefic trine house, and 12th house is the house of loss, is the house of spirituality, is the house of letting go and dissolve into the oneness of the universe. Now, Jupiter is going into the sign of Aquarius. So for Aries ascendant, Jupiter is going from the 9th, from the 10th to the 11th, and it is leaving the debilitation. So the 9th lord and the 12th lord is going into the 11th house of gains, connection, social connections, connection with the larger organizations and finance, also sharing your knowledge with the society. You will start sharing your knowledge with the society. Now, Jupiter in the 11th house is one of the best placements for Aries. Okay, Aries, here is the thing about Jupiter. Whenever you have Jupiter placed 9th, 10th or 11th from your moon, this is one of the best placements or best transits for this Jupiter. It will make you expand your horizon. It will bring more luck, travel, and surplus and good things in your life. Okay, that doesn't mean all other planets or all other transits means nothing, but these three things, these three transits, 9th from the moon, 10th from the moon, and 11th from the moon, are one of the best placements for the Jupiter, are one of the best transits for the Jupiter. Let's say you are going through Sadesati and you have Jupiter placed or Jupiter transit coming in 9th, 10th, and 11th. These 3 years, you will feel optimistic about your life. Even though you're going through the Sadesati, you will feel optimistic about it. We will talk about it later. We were talking about the Aries ascendant. For Aries ascendant, it is into the best place of 11th house. Okay, so it is aspecting the 3rd house and 7th house of spouse and 3rd house of communication. So this will make Aries ascendant people or Aries moon people to share their knowledge, communicate their knowledge with the larger social groups, with the spiritual groups, with the intellectuals, with the other people, the 7th house, or with their children, the 5th house. Okay, overall, I see this as a period of connecting with people and spreading and sharing your knowledge. Taurus ascendant, Taurus moon. For Taurus, Jupiter was going through the 9th house in Capricorn. Now it is moving into the 10th house. 9th and 10th are the most auspicious houses. Now when Jupiter goes into the 10th house, will aspect the 4th house, 2nd house, and 6th house. It comes into the Artha Trikona houses. So here, this Jupiter will bring in money for the Taurus people. It will bring in the rise in their career. It will bring in the gains, financial gains in their career. And their daily routines, the 6th house, they will have the blessings of the Jupiter. They will feel enthusiastic, optimist in their daily life, in their daily routines. Okay. And when Jupiter is placed into the 10th house, again, I will emphasize the teaching or sharing of knowledge is one of the primary function which will bring happiness. Okay, this Jupiter is also aspecting the 4th house of the home environment. So here these people will read books, because Jupiter, the knowledge, the planet of knowledge, is aspecting your private environment, your home environment, yourself, your feelings. Now you will feel like gaining the knowledge. At the same time, you're sharing the knowledge, and you're also getting the knowledge through books, by reading the books. Okay, now next is Gemini Ascendant, Gemini Moon. For Gemini Ascendant, Gemini Moon, Jupiter rules the 7th house and the 10th house of the horoscope, and it is going from the 9th house, no, from the 8th house it is going to the 9th house. Now this is the period which will bring in good opportunities for the Gemini people. Why? Remember, I told you about the 9th, 10th, 11th transit of Jupiter from your moon. Now it is the beginning of the 9th, 10th and 11th, 3 years of glorious period for Gemini Ascendant or Gemini Moon. Okay, from the 5th April, Gemini people, Gemini Ascendant and Gemini Moon people will feel optimistic about life. This Jupiter will aspect their Ascendant from the 9th house of Aquarius, will aspect the 3rd house of the siblings, and the 5th house of the children and knowledge, and the Purva Punya. Okay, so 9th house is the Bhagya, which depends upon your Purva Punya. Okay, so 5th house, so 9th house is 5th from the 5th. That's why 9th house is the Bhagya, which is going to get manifested in this lifetime. So having Jupiter in the 9th house in transit will bring in luck for the Gemini Ascendant, Gemini Moon. Okay, these people will be optimistic and will be sharing their knowledge with the people. They will be getting knowledge. They will be having right mentors into their life during this period. Okay, so this was Gemini. Next is Cancer Ascendant, Cancer Moon. For Cancer Ascendant, Cancer Moon, the planet Jupiter rules the 6th house and the 9th house of the horoscope. For Cancer Ascendant, Jupiter is going from the 7th house to the 8th house. Okay, 8th house is a bad house. No, it's not necessarily a bad house. The planet of optimism, planet of knowledge is going into the house of occult and mysticism. So these people will be drawn towards occult and mysticism. These people will feel that they want to learn astrology, they want to learn psychology, they want to learn Bhagavad Gita, they want to read the Puranas. This occult mystical drive will come for the Cancer Moon, Cancer Ascendant people. Okay, again, the Aquarius is intellectual, Jupiter is expansion, is a planet of wisdom, is going into this house of occult and mysticism. Okay, at the same time, 8th house is the house of secret assets with the partner as well. Okay, another thing to look out for in this placement, in this transit, is this 8th house is 11th from the 10th house. So these people will also see a rise in their career. They will feel good about their career. This Jupiter is aspecting the 2nd house of the finances. So the Lord of the 9th house is aspecting the 2nd house, is aspecting the 4th house, and is aspecting the 12th house of the horoscope. Okay, so the 9th Lord having 3 drishtis or aspect itself is a positive aspect of Cancer Ascendant, Cancer Moon. Okay, and now this transit will bring in occult and mysticism into their life and a rise in career due to the 8th house being 11th to the 10th house. They will be drawn towards the occult and mysticism, and that will bring in rise in their career as well. Leo Ascendant. For Leo Ascendant, Jupiter is ruling the 5th house and the 8th house. And Jupiter is moving from the 6th house to the 7th house. When it goes into the 7th house, it aspects the 3rd house, 1st house, 11th house. 7th house Jupiter transit is a very good transit when it comes to the other people. You will have support from the other people. And this support is not like a Saturn. When you have Saturn in the 7th house, you also get a support from other people like subordinates. But here it is like a blessing, a massive blessing from the other people. Other people will consider you as a mentor in your sphere of teachings, and you will feel blessed about having such support. 7th house Jupiter will also aspect the 1st house and will protect the 1st house. You will feel healthy. You will feel good about life. And it is also aspecting the 3rd house of communication. Again, sharing knowledge is the key indication of Jupiter into the sign of Aquarius. And now it is aspecting the 3rd house of the horoscope, which is the house of communication. So you will talk about the Jupiterian things maybe with your siblings or your associates and other people, the 7th house. It is also aspecting the 11th house of the horoscope, which is the house of gains, larger organizations, and bigger dreams of your life. So this expansive planet aspecting the 11th house will make your dreams alive, will give you clarity and vision about how you are going to achieve things, and will bless you with those dreams. Like you will start getting clarity on how you're going to achieve those dreams. Okay. Next is Virgo Ascendant. For Virgo Ascendant, Jupiter is ruling the 4th and the 7th house of the horoscope. And it is going from the 5th house to the 6th house. 5th house placement of the Jupiter is also one of the best placements of the Jupiter after 9, 10 and 11. 5th house of the Jupiter, the Virgo moon and Virgo ascendant people had a great year last year. Okay. And now they are going into the 6th house of the Jupiter. Okay. Now this Jupiter is aspecting the 10th house of the horoscope, which is the house of career. Is also aspecting the 12th house of the horoscope, which is the house of loss and foreign things, and is aspecting the the 2nd house of the horoscope, which is the house of finances and resourcefulness. So this transit of Jupiter in the 6th house will bring in positivity in your career, will bring in money in your career. Why money? Because it is the Artha Trikona house, 2, 6, 10. When Jupiter enters into any house or any Rashi, it aspects the trine. So it aspects the complete trine. So once it is into the Artha trine, it will aspect 10th and 2nd, both the Artha houses, because it has the Drushti of 5th and 9th. Okay, so from the 6th house, it will aspect the 10th house and the 2nd house, and will give you rise in your career, will bring in money in your career. Okay, but at the same time, it is into the 6th house of diseases and delays and enemies. Okay, so you have to be careful with these significations of the 6th house. But at the same time, 6th house is the house of Upachaya house. So right from the beginning of this Dasha, as the day progresses, you will have good results with respect to this, because it is the Upachaya house. It grows with time. It improves gradually every day. Okay, so you will have that blessings into the 6th house of your life. So next is the Libra Ascendant. For Libra Ascendant, Jupiter is ruling the 3rd house and the 6th house, and is placed into the 5th house of the horoscope. Now this 5th house of the Jupiter into the Libra Ascendant will give a great result with respect to the Libra Ascendant. Why? Because now Jupiter is aspecting the 1st house of the horoscope with the 9th aspect, and the 9th house of the horoscope with the 5th aspect, and the 11th house of gains from the 7th aspect. All 3 houses, the trinal house and the 11th house of gains, are aspected by Jupiter. So 5th house placement of Jupiter is one of the best transits of your life. Always go to your previous transits, just mark them and check the 5th house transit of the Jupiter from your moon. Okay, you will feel that you have achieved something during that period. You will feel that you have gained something. You have, the 11th house is the house of dreams and desire, and Jupiter is the planet of positivity, accomplishment, expansion, and all that is surplus, good, and positive. So this is the period which will make your dreams come true. Okay, so always look for the 5th house transit of Jupiter. Next is the Scorpio ascendant. For Scorpio ascendant, the Jupiter rules the 2nd house and the 5th house of the horoscope and is placed into the 4th house of the horoscope. 4th house of the horoscope is the house of your home environment. Now the planet of expansion goes into your 4th house of home environment. First thing, it shows that you will be more inclined towards your home. You will stay more at home. By the way, we are all at home right now, but these people would love to be at home. And it also shows the purification of heart. You will read books which will make you or inspire you to cleanse your heart. You will be drawn towards some unique methodology which is going to help you in your fifth guru transit. Okay, when Jupiter will go into the Pisces, you are preparing yourself for something. Okay, let's say you are preparing for an exam. Okay, and right now nothing seems possible, but just keep working. The moment that Jupiter enters into the 5th house, suddenly you will start feeling optimistic about life, and you will start making progress in life, and you will start think that anything is possible. Okay, but always remember, this shall too pass. Okay, now the Sagittarius ascendant. Now this is a Jupiter ruled sign of perfectionist. Jupiter rules the 1st house and the 4th house, and Jupiter transits through the 3rd house. Now it aspects the 7th house, 9th house, 11th house. 7th house of marriage, partner, 9th house of optimism, higher beliefs, and 11th house of gains and networking. Okay, and 3rd house of associates, siblings, and readings. One thing I have observed about the Jupiter in the 3rd house is the planet of expansion. Now the planet of expansion is into the 3rd house of your communication. It shows that you will read a lot of books. You will grasp larger books quickly during this time. Okay, especially books, not podcast or anything else, but books in special. Like you will be drawn towards a large amount of information, and you will grasp it quickly due to this Jupiter. Okay, now another thing to look out for is the Jupiter is ruling the ascendant and is aspecting the 9th house. So whenever there is a connection between the 9th lord, 10th lord, ascendant, excellent. Okay, next is Capricorn ascendant. Capricorn ascendant, Jupiter is going into the 2nd house of the horoscope. And when I say ascendant, also consider moon. Capricorn ascendant, Capricorn moon. Now Jupiter is going into the 2nd house of finances, resources, things which you value, and your face can be seen with the 2nd house. Also, it is the house of, it's the planet of wisdom, and 2nd house is the house of your speech. So again, I see a lot of sharing of information. You may be somebody who is an astrology enthusiast. Now you will start sharing your knowledge with people. Okay, even though you are in Sade Sati right now, you will feel optimistic about life. You will feel that Jupiter aspecting the 10th house of horoscope, which is the house of work, you will feel optimistic about doing something. You will feel that you will be rewarded. Okay, now this Jupiter also aspect the 6th house. It will bring in that blessings and positivity into your daily routines as well, along with the 10th house of karma. And it also aspects the 8th house of occult and mysticism, psychology, astrology, human nature, things which are buried underground. you will be drawn towards this. You will like to learn more about alternate healings, about things which are, you know, buried underground and beyond this realm. Okay, you will be drawn towards spirituality and occult mysticism, because the planet of wisdom aspecting the house of occult and mysticism. Next is Aquarius ascendant. For Aquarius ascendant, Jupiter is coming into the place of ascendant. Now here it will aspect the 5th house, excellent, 7th house, and the 9th house, even better. Now this Jupiter will bring in change in your personality. This Jupiter will bring in change in the personality of Aquarius people. These people will feel they need a makeover. They have to change themselves. Like all of us are trying to accommodate with the new normal, but these people will master that. These people will change themselves, because now Jupiter, the blessings, the positivity, expansion, wisdom, surplus, goodness, positivity is coming into their personality. They are ready to do whatever it takes to achieve their goals. Okay, they are healthy, optimistic, and super happy soul during this period. Okay, again, the aspect onto 5th and 9th house, excellent. Next is Pisces ascendant, Pisces moon. Now Jupiter is going from the 11th house to the 12th house. Now 12th house Jupiter is the period to plan for the next 12 years. Why? Because now Jupiter, once it will go into the Pisces, it will be the beginning of the new cycle. Just like Aquarius, they are starting their new cycle. You will start your new cycle next year. But before that, you will have this feeling. You will have this feeling of nothing is happening for me. Everything feels stuck. Okay. And this is because Jupiter is into the 12th house, the planet which brings in positivity, opportunity, surplus, income, everything which we expect is into the 12th house. Okay, but 12th house is the house of foreign things. You will have certain connection with the foreign things. If you're planning to move to other country, this Jupiter will help. If you're planning to move to other country, this Jupiter will help you to make that transition happen. You can go into other country, okay, into the 12th house, and when it goes into your 1st house, you will start your new life. This is also possible. Okay, but for you guys, Saturn is into the 11th house of the horoscope and Jupiter is into the 12th house. So all the focus is on the 1st and the 12th house. So this is the period of transformation, I would say. Why? Because now Jupiter is in 12th, is giving you time to build for the next 12 years. Okay, so yes, this was the transit for the 12 ascendants, 12 moon. Okay, but always remember that you have to apply the transits from moon, from ascendant. You also have to consider the dashas. Dashas are far more important than transits. When analyzing transits, always focus on the dasha and the Ashtakvarga as well. Without that, this transit means nothing. Okay, if you don't have the enough Ashtakvarga points or enough planetary aspects, the other planets like Jupiter, not Jupiter, the Saturn and Rahu, these things will get altered. Okay, so yes, this was Jupiter into the Aquarius for all the ascendant, all the moon. As much as I could hold, grasp and share with you guys, sending you tons of positive energy, sending you high vibes. See you in the next videos. Love and peace.